Et je vais vous demander, s'il vous plaît, d'accueillir chaleureusement la prochaine speaker. Et c'est Maya Janssen de Amsterdam. Merci de l'applaudir, s'il vous plaît, chaleureusement. Welcome, Maya. Thank you for being here. It's your turn, Maya. OK, it's your zappet. OK, cher public, vous connaissez la règle. Maya va intervenir en anglais sur donc Amsterdam et c'est vous qui l'a lancé. Dans 4, 3, 2, 1, speaker. Ah, ça nous permettra de recommencer en fait. Vous n'étiez pas complètement chaud, je l'ai vu. OK, it's OK, I think.
Enchanté.
OK, great.
Enchanté.
So, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Enchanté, je m'appelle Maya, and I'm going to do the rest of my presentation in English because this was my best French. So, thank you for the invitation to be here. I have been this weekend to explore your region because I learned also from Bruno a play, but also of work, but also play. So we had a weekend trip in the region and visit the coastal area, the beautiful nature, and also the heritage in your cities. I heard a lot of challenges in your presentations, and one of the challenges and your ambition for a sustainable destination you share with Amsterdam. And I'm going to take you through our thoughts, our plans, our learnings. And first, I want to tell something about Amsterdam and Partners.
The green button. This one.
The green one. I should have known it by myself. I'm from Amsterdam and Partners, and Amsterdam Partners is a public-private organization, and we have about 800 partners, cultural institutions, entrepreneurs, experts, knowledge institutions, etc. Our mission is to strive for a sustainable and livable metropolitan area of Amsterdam, and we do it by guiding our target groups through the region and by building the reputation of the Amsterdam metropolitan area. Our approach, well, we are storytellers, and we do it by a lot of data, insights, and technology. And we do it not only for the visitors, but we have a mission also for our residents and also for the companies. We say our city and our region is to live, work, and recreate, primarily, and then we are happily to welcome visitors or companies, scale-up startups who want to start a business. Before, I would like to show you a short video about the redesigned visitor economy we started about just before the corona.
Visitors are an inherent part of Amsterdam. They have brought so much to the city throughout the decades. Jobs, revenues, cultural amenities, and lots of creativity and diversity. But in the past few years, livability has been affected. Overcrowdedness and antisocial behaviour are causing a nuisance. Houses are taken off the market, and the old city centre has seen the growth of a monoculture of shops. But COVID-19 has changed all of this. The Amsterdam area has been hit hard by the current crisis. Businesses and cultural institutions have had to temporarily close their doors or have gone bankrupt. Employees are losing their jobs, conferences have been cancelled, and visitors are staying home, and the crisis isn't over yet. We are at a tipping point. In 2025, Amsterdam will celebrate its 750th anniversary. How do we start the visitor economy back up as quickly as possible and in a sustainable way? It all starts with a new image of freedom with respect for one another. These are the 7 recommendations from the city to the city. Focus on visitors that add value, such as conference and cultural visitors. Use data to tempt these visitors and guide them through the whole Amsterdam area. Reward entrepreneurs that take responsibility for the city in which they operate. Develop the city's districts based on a distinct identity, in collaboration with businesses, cultural institutions, and residents to help them profit from the visitor economy as well. Help create a varied, high-quality nightlife and tackle antisocial behaviour and nuisances with an integral approach. Make the old city centre attractive again for Amsterdam's locals for living, working and leisure. Help create a clean and green city and manage the crowds in the public space. These recommendations have been prepared in co-creation with residents, entrepreneurs, cultural institutions and experts. This makes us extremely proud because we're shaping the Amsterdam of the future together.
A short video, and we were at the tipping point. If you look at the figures at the screen, we had an enormous growth from 2012, about 22 million of visitors in 2020. But then came Corona, and we had a third impact, diminishing of visitors, very impactful. And we had prognosis made by our city council, and it's about half expecting. And we're not only at the tipping point because of the figures were low and the impact of Corona and a big impact on cultural institutions and entrepreneurs, but also the quality of life in Amsterdam and metropolitan area is very much under pressure. There was a research done by TCI, and it found out that the quality of life is under pressure because of the crowds, a lot of people coming to the same place at the same time. For example, the inner city, the Het Wallen district. I don't know if you've been to Amsterdam, but it's a very small public area, and a lot of people want to visit there. But the main thing is people live there. So it's not a recreational space, it's not an attraction. We have there our red light district, we have there our coffee shops, but we have mainly people living there. And you saw the quality of life under pressure coming out in all kinds of activities of residents. This is the campaign We Live Here, by the residents itself, to make a voice. It's our backyard, please behave. We also had a referendum, and the referendum said we do want to have visitors between 10 million and 20 million, but not anymore. Nobody knows what's going to happen if we have more than 20 million visitors, but it was a big statement. And we had an opportunity for a new design, for a sustainable and livable visitor economy. And why and how did we do it? Well, we had an enormous co-creation session with cultural institutions, with residents, with entrepreneurs, with knowledge institutions, with experts, and of course, a lot of research. And the importance, why do we want to have a strong visitor economy? Not only because it's an economic point of view, but visitors have been a part of our heritage the last ages. Of course, migrants have always been in Amsterdam and have taken and made a very lively and strong culture of our city. And because visitors are very much important for our entrepreneurs, but also for our museums and also for our public transport. I don't think it is here otherwise. And at last, I already clicked away, but the talent. We have a very high education level at Amsterdam, so the talent is very important to retain. So we had a disbalance, and a disbalance, as I already said, was about the quality of life, but a disbalance you saw also in the Airbnb, taking houses away from the markets, and the monoculture in our offering of retail. I don't know if you're here in, maybe in Paris, you have this, the Nutella shops. They have not any use of any resident at all. They're only for visitors, for short-term profit, and do not add any value to the city and the region. And the other thing is, not everybody profits from. Amsterdam is not only the inner city, but have about, from March, 8 city areas, and some of them do not profit from the visitor economy. And we have an image. I don't know who has been in Amsterdam. Maybe you can put your finger up. Oh, quite a lot. Amsterdam has a certain image, and we have an image of freedom, and we're very proud on it. But it's not a freedom without disrespect. We want people to behave here. We want them to feel free. It's a tolerant city. where we don't want the nuisance of behavior. It's not a big party place. So freedom comes with responsibility. So we made 7 recommendations. I'm not going through all the recommendations, but just show which actions we took with every recommendation. And the first one, to create consciously visitors, we did a number of campaigns, and this is also for the recovery of the city because of the impact of Corona. We did the expected, unexpected campaign, and because everybody goes to the same hotspot, it's very difficult to change human behavior. We also said, okay, we also take people to explore the less hotspots, the unexpected places. And then we did a number of campaigns regarding the behavior of some tourist groups, some visitors. We did it for the English, but this is the French one. And the French one, they have the tendency to sleep, the young French one, in their car. They park the car at the canal, they stay in the car, they eat at the car, they sleep and recreate as a sort of small hostel. And you can imagine that's not very nice for the neighborhoods. So we did a special campaign for the French young men. Please do not sleep in your car. Take a hotel or some other accommodation. And we just did it in a friendly way because we want to welcome them and ask a difference of behavior. We also did campaigning for the conference and the venues. Corporate conventions is our target. And we are at the moment working on reshaping the image of Amsterdam. Amsterdam is the metropolitan area brand, very known. And because of the freedom with respect discussion, we thought, okay, from the identity, we have to have a new reframing of the brand, and at the moment we are working on it. I hope to tell you later on this year more about it. We have a lot of discussion about data and insights. I think every destination, very interesting for example, crowd management, and we have a lot of data in the community of Amsterdam. This is, for example, at Westerpark in Amsterdam, and you can see from a lot of data how crowded it is in the morning or in the evening. It's all done by cameras, and at the moment we're working on a pilot to use this data through our canals to inform people to go somewhere else is it too crowded. And we have reward good practices because we said if we want visitors to behave, we want entrepreneurs to take the role also. We want to have them a sustainable entrepreneurship, and how do you do it? We found out that it's very difficult for small companies to have, for example, their sustainable operational processes, and they need support, they need information about how to do it, what's the legislation, what's the subsidies involved, and we're working on it now with a lot of entrepreneurs. We also have a pillar, get the neighborhood involved. Make the neighborhood stronger and give them a vote in the plans of the neighborhood. Because we found out that a lot of people in the neighborhood are afraid of new developments because they can't control them. And if you give them a vote, they can work on it and they can be part of the innovation and not being outside the innovation. So the participation discussion in Amsterdam is very big. We did, for example, the positioning of Zuidoost. Zuidoost is a very big area in Amsterdam, and we did in co-creation with entrepreneurs and residents and all kind of institutions. And it's about the values of Zuidoost. And for example, if you want to attract new people to Zuidoost to live and work there, what kind of people do you want there? And Zuidoost is famous for its community, so you don't want people who do not want to be a part of the community. We are building a platform for all residents to participate in culture. Also, we have the city card for the visitors, but this is for the residents only. And it's just to stimulate culture participation. We have a small number of people who go very often to culture and a big group who never go. Manage the night. The nightlife of Amsterdam is very important and is very impacted by Corona at the moment, and the nightlife should be safe for everybody. It's also for the inclusive city. And we had this is the report for the municipality, the future of the night, And it's very important. There's all kind of measures to take to have to stimulate the nightlife and to offer a safe, inclusive nightlife. Make the city center livable. This is especially for the city center, the old city, the old inner city, where there's a lot of heritage and a lot of culture. And it's the last couple of years overflooded by visitors. And there's a certain a special plan, and it's being a center for the residents, not a visitor attraction place. Prohibition of the Airbnb, no private rental rooms anymore, so that people can live in the city. There is a lot of discussion about the coffee shops to plan them elsewhere, also by the prostitution outside the city. That's a big impact for the Amsterdam. And as I already told you, countering the nuisance in the streets. Also a big plan, operational plan of the city government. And redesign public spaces, more green, more water, more walking, more biking. Oh, biking, we did already a lot, but less cars. So, big impact. And this is the environmental vision of 2050 of our city. And we're going to build a very big community, the Havenstad, and we have a lot of pressure on the green and the water. So a lot of people more coming to Amsterdam, and we have a limited space. So it's very big decisions to take for the next coming of years. And I think we're just started, as you saw in the movie, 750 year of Amsterdam, 2025 will be a celebration moment, and I hope to have achieved a big number of these measures. Thank you.
Maya Janssen, merci. I Amsterdam. Ok, cher public, il est possible de poser des questions. Ah, il y a un cœur. Regardez là-bas, il y a un cœur. An heart for you. Ok.
Thank you.
Est-ce qu'on peut poser des questions en français, s'il vous plaît? Sinon, je serais obligé de me rappeler ce que disait Mike Horn, relayé par Bruno tout à l'heure, qui est que le rêve, lorsqu'il n'égratine pas la zone de confort, il n'est pas vraiment un rêve, et je sens que je vais devoir égratiner ma zone de confort si je pose une question en anglais. Donc du coup, ça serait super que vous jouiez avec moi. Est-ce que vous avez une question pour Maya, s'il vous plaît? Là-bas, une main qui se lève, non? Ok, Gladys va donc traduire ma question, parce que je pense que j'ai à peu près compris. Maya, moi j'aimerais beaucoup savoir si vous avez d'autres relations avec les autres capitales européennes pour construire des parcours, par exemple.
Je vais essayer de traduire. So Thierry would like to know if you have other relationships with other European capitals, and if you try to build some partnerships with them.
Good question. Yes, we have the European City Marketing alignment, and I think there's about nearly 100 cities in Europe, and we have been working with them for the last decades. And I think the main important thing is sharing our learnings. Some of the cities have more rural or more nature, but there's a number of bigger cities with the same challenges as Amsterdam. I think sustainable mobility, waste, crowdedness of people, nuisance, and how to nudge it, but also the Airbnb discussion. So I think there's a lot of learnings and a lot of sharing of things, and to tackle them together.
Merci Maya, merci. Est-ce qu'on a encore le temps de prendre une question si vous voulez? Oui, regarde, il y a juste une question, Gladys, en plein milieu. Et Guillaume va traduire, parce que Guillaume se moque de moi. Je le vois.
Thank you. Can you explain the relation between the Amsterdam policy and Airbnb? What's the deal between you?
The relation between Amsterdam and the Airbnb? With private rental, you mean? Well, Amsterdam is one of the cities in the Netherlands with the most Airbnbs, And the main problem with Airbnb, not is because people are renting out their houses and earning a little bit of money, but the problem is it's been an investment model at the moment. We have a huge shortage of the housing market, and a number of parties are buying vastgoed. Real estate, thank you very much, and they're renting it for very high prices. So, to be honest, our children cannot live anymore in Amsterdam because they cannot afford it. So, in the crowded areas, the mayor and the community said it's prohibited for the Airbnb, and if you have more space to live in, for example, Zuidoost of New West, there's no problem to have an Airbnb of a private rental, but not where there's not enough space for living.
Merci, merci Maya, que je vous demande s'il vous plaît d'applaudir chaleureusement et que vous pouvez suivre sur Twitter et LinkedIn, vous avez le lien. Merci beaucoup Maya, merci.